Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. Today, I have with me the beautiful Melissa Desveaux. Melissa is a mother of 2 boys, 4 angel babies, and living in Sydney with her husband and family. She's a best-selling author of 7 books and author consultant for authors who want to get their books published so they can share their story and make an impact in the world. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Shana. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I love everything about what you do, and we've been connected for a while now, and just loving watching your journey unfold. And but you do have a story in terms of how you ended up getting to where you are today. So did you want to share a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, so I had my first miscarriage in 2017, which was really devastating because, it's pregnancy loss. It's devastating as it is. Being my first pregnancy loss, I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't even consider myself, to be somebody that was going to experience pregnancy loss. And it was just like scary. It was heartbreaking. It was all those things. And then I experienced about a year later a stillbirth, which like really hit me hard, I guess. It was so impactful even before my daughter passed away, because about 10 weeks prior to her passing, she wasn't growing. So basically I knew for 10 weeks of like testing and just doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, as you're progressing through pregnancy. I was going through this pregnancy, loss as she was still living. And it was so hard, like to be living that at the time. And so when she did pass, like everything kind of just fell apart for me. Like I went through, like, I guess, a mini depression. Like I held myself together for a little while, like during writing. So I was just journaling and just writing stuff down, like writing her story and sort of making things. Like I made like an album, and I had photos that I took, like of like flowers that we received, cards that we got, and things like that. So I just put everything together in like an album. So it was like a memory thing that I had. And and till this day, like I think about my babies all the time. But then, like I had, I still obviously wanted a baby. So we tried again, and I had another miscarriage, and that was probably another year later. And I just thought, like, there's something wrong with me. What is wrong with me? I you know, like nobody in my family had this many pregnancy losses. It was just so, you know, heartbreaking. I didn't even like know where to go for these things, you know, like the doctors just said, you know, it's, you know, normal, you know, these things happen. What can you do, right? And then a year later, I had my firstborn child. We were just like over the moon to have him. We were so like lucky as well because of the previous pregnancy losses, he needed to have like I had to be on Clexane for all my pregnancies. Like Clexane for blood clots and things like that. So I was injecting myself every day with Clexane for that pregnancy, and then with then he was sort of like born, you know, we had to induce him, but then he was born an emergency cesarean. So that was a whole nother like experience on its own. And then, you know, we went live 2 years or 3 years with him, and then 2 years with him, and then we decided to have another baby, and then that one ended in pregnancy, miscarriage as well. So it was about 7 or 8 weeks into the pregnancy, and I already had a toddler at that time, so it was a little bit different, I guess, in the way of like emotional wise. I think it was a little bit different because I needed to look after my son, even though like it was still heartbreaking. I didn't have that like that full blown on grief like I did with the other ones. And then a year later, like to the day literally, my second son was born. So that was like a complete family. Like for me, like I'd never wanted to go through what I did again. And it was just so much joy when he was born. And so I guess, so where I am now, I started writing a memoir of all my pregnancies, and that was like in 2014. And like I just add that there was no, like what they have now, there was no support systems whatsoever, right? Like there's nothing for me. All I had to go by was basically doctor's advice, and whatever doctor said to me. So like today, there's just so much out there. Like I didn't even have Facebook or anything like that. So there was nowhere to go, right? And so like I decided that I would write a memoir, and that kind of went into like blog posts, and like I was doing like blogging on the websites and things like that. And I ended up doing auctions, like charity, like donating money to auction, like just like donating money, creating auctions and things like that, so we could donate the money to like miracle babies and things like that. And then I decided that I wanted to create a compilation of different stories to give other mothers who were going through something like I did a voice to, you know, express their story, like to share their story, express their you know, or, you know, give awareness to other parents who are going through or have been through pregnancy loss. And also it was also very healing for them, as well as, you know, for other people that were reading it. But for writing, in terms of like for myself, for journaling and actually writing my memoir, it was very healing for me as well. So I guess that's where I started, you know, writing the books. And so now like I've got 2 of those complications of pregnancy and infant loss, and like pregnancy struggles, and then I've got a series of books called Letters of Love, and the third one is all about pregnancy and infant loss. And I've also kind of published a couple of journals as well. So yeah, that's about me.
There was parts of your story that, resonated with me as well. I'm sorry that you had to go through so many losses yourself. And I can only imagine how mentally, emotionally, challenging it would have been to keep going. We experienced our miscarriage in 2017, and, there was nothing that I could find that was supportive either. And I felt like I had to do it all on my own. I felt like I had to create my own way of healing and navigating through that.
Yeah.
And the doctors aren't, well, I mean, some people get really supportive and very informative doctors, but, not all. And I definitely didn't get the support from the medical system that I assumed that I would, given what it was like being a miscarriage, and that there's a lot of kind of emotional and physical healing that has to go into that. But you kind of don't get any follow-up from anyone,
No, that's right.
or support networks that don't refer you to anyone. So you are kind of left to navigate that on your own. And, I went through 1 and you went through 3 before you got to your first earth side baby. And I can only imagine the emotional toll that would have taken on you.
Yeah, it was hard. I have to say, like, when looking back, like when you're in the moment, it's kind of different, because you're in the moment and you're grieving, and you're still grieving. Like, even before you have your third, like before I had my third child, I was still grieving. But then now, like, looking back, it was like, oh, like, I've been through so much and I've come out okay. Like, I'm still fine, but yeah, like, there was no, like, I had my first miscarriage in 2007, and just talking to the doctor, like, I had a great doctor. He was amazing, but even, like, I don't know, like, if there was, because of this, like, not much support, like there was not much awareness around it. I don't know if it was because of that. Like, he didn't mention anything. Like, the only thing he told me about was the miracle babies, which even miracle babies is more for like premature babies. So it's not even like stillbirths or anything like that. So I was kind of, I didn't know much. Like, there was Red Nose and Stillbirth Australia and all those other charities, but nobody told me about them. I had to look them up myself, like, it was, yeah, it was just unsupportive at that time. So.
And not much changed. So not much had changed when I was going through it either.
Yeah.
And when you're in the depths of grief, and, I headed down the path of depression myself, you're not in the right frame of mind to be searching for support, but you need it. You know that you need help.
Yeah.
But there's nothing sort of at your fingertips. You haven't been given anything to go, oh, actually, I should look into that. It's left up to you to realize, oh, well, maybe I'll research it. Maybe there is something out there. Maybe I'll find that. And it takes a while to get into that headspace. And in that process, you've gone through such darkness, that, you've been through a lot of pain, before you can get to that place where you can feel clear enough to go, okay, now I need help.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming this is now what feeds into kind of what you have created, because when I was going through my loss, journaling was a huge thing for me.
Mm.
I remember I took my sometimes like 5 or 6 or 7 pages or something to the therapist. And I'm like, here you go. This is all my thoughts and emotions and everything on these pieces of paper. And that was very healing for me to be able to get out onto paper what was going on inside of my head. And you've been able to take that one step further and create things from that, create spaces from that where others can also write, where you've created journals, where you've created, powerful tools for women to go, it's not just writing, like it's intentional. There's, questions that you can ask yourself to bring forth those, emotions or thoughts or whatever that you're trying to navigate. And maybe you don't know what it is exactly, but when you can go through these, some questions or whatever, it can start to bring forth like what actually needs to be processed.
Yeah.
But to have these safe places to actually write them out and for your brain and your body to know that it's safe.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So like I think everybody that has been through a pregnancy loss or even infant loss does need some type of support, whether it's just the journaling or, going to see a therapist or counselor or, just talking to somebody over the phone. Like I'm also an support companion for Pink Elephant Support Network. And like I speak to, mothers who have experienced early miscarriage, and just being able to support like a mother and just listen to them, share their own story is so powerful and so healing, even for me. But it's so like for that person, and for that person to say, thank you so much for listening to me. Like I don't know anybody else that has been through what I've been through. I just needed somebody to talk to, and I just needed somebody to hear what I had to say. And nobody else would understand this sort of thing. So I think people who do need that support, even if they just contact, Pink Elephants or whoever, like Red Nose or somebody like a charity that does, support families through miscarriage or, stillbirth or even infant loss, they should reach out. So I think it's talking, writing, it's really important for mental health.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's so important to be able to get out these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, because the more we push them in, the longer it's actually going to hinder the recovery and healing process. It's going to create a longer process for you. The sooner we can, talk it out, voice, what's happening inside of you to someone who actually understands, because there's, I remember thinking things that I'm like, I am such a bad person for thinking this or feeling this, or, if I voice this, no one's going to understand me or they're going to judge me. So finding these safe places to voice what it is that you're feeling and going through is so important for your own healing and recovery. Because the sooner we can do it, the sooner we can process what's happening, and the sooner it can actually leave your body.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to share a little bit about how you created the journals?
Ah, how I created them. I guess I just took. Oh, I've got. So creating them, I don't know. It just sort of come to me. So I've had like I did all the letters of love books, and then the third one. So I did a journal for each of those books, and then the third one was the pregnancy and infant loss letters of love. So basically, the letters of love are literally letters written to the people. So in the third book, pregnancy and infant loss awareness is letters written to babies or to self, as in like my story or my letter is actually written to my former self and what I was kind of going through. And it's a legacy letter as well, so to all my babies. And so I because I did a journal for each one of them, I thought, well, I'm going to have to do a journal for the third one as well. But I made it, targeted towards feelings of, how are you feeling today? Just something to, like pages of just thoughts, what are you grateful for today? What made me feel better today? And it's just like 30 days of writing, because it's a like 30 days of healing basically. And I don't know, I think this book will, or this journal will help people like really understand what they are going through from, the time that they do experience the pregnancy or the miscarriage or stillbirth, and to that end of the 30 days to really see how they've progressed. So whether it's in a good way or a not so good way, then maybe if they find at the end that they're feeling better, then they can continue to feel better. But then if they feel that they're going backwards, then maybe it's time that they really do need to seek support, and reach out to somebody that can help them, because writing, can go either way. It can either make you feel better, or it could make you feel worse, sort of thing. So it depends on what you're writing down. So if you're writing like always negative thoughts, then that's probably what's going to happen. You're just going to spiral down. And I guess that's kind of why I wanted to have that journal. Just for that person to be able to, to just write, because that's how it helped me. Like I was journaling, just writing stories about my pregnancy losses and my pregnancies, I guess in general, and I just wanted other people to feel supported and to read other stories, so they could understand what other people would go through. And the journals just I guess just supported that. So yeah,
It's beautiful because it's I have always believed journaling is such a powerful tool in having a emotional awareness of, what's going on, even a physical awareness, how it feels in your body, like how is it presenting for you. One thing that I was taught to do like each morning was, write down, how I was feeling, and each night too, actually. obviously the gratitude is huge, because when you're going through something so, earth-shattering, that it's hard to find something good. But when you can start to see those glimmers of something good in your life, you can start to see that there's not everything is bad.
Mm.
But I was also told to scan my body every day and see where there was pain or, tension, or I was uncomfortable. And when I started writing out my emotions and also the physical aspect of it, I was like, there was a pattern. There was a lot of emotions. There was a lot of, feelings and sensations, but they were all, I could start to link up certain things, like in terms of how it was actually making me feel in my body. And, that's a powerful awareness to be able to go forward with as well.
Mm.
Because when you're going through that time, it can be very overwhelming. It can be very hard to understand what you're feeling. But when you start to break it down and have questions that you can ask yourself to start to pull out those little things, you can start to get a little bit of clarity in what it actually is that you're feeling. And you've mentioned, like, for yourself, how, cathartic and healing writing was in your journey and your recovery. Was there any other, like, because loss has this ripple effect through our life, like it has a knock-on effect through so many elements of our life. Was there any other ways that you realized, by allowing yourself to move through these emotions and to write, that you could see that playing out in other areas of your life?
I'm not sure. I think for me, reading was, other people's stories was really, so not just writing, like reading other people's stories was really helpful. And even though, reading was, helpful, it was more like things that were online that I was reading, because this was, you know, go back to 2007, like, we didn't have much back then. But when you come to 2023, there's just so much out there now that you can, go and find, any type in pregnancy loss and you'll get a whole bunch of stuff on on Google or whatever. But reading other people's stories was really, really helpful, even though it was online. And I guess that was another reason why I put those books together, because I wanted to read other people's stories, and I wanted those people to also write their story, and I wanted other people to read those stories. So there was like a whole, like, I guess, like a whole circle of reasons for putting those books together. And they were everything. Like, even those, just putting that, those books together was cathartic for me. It was just something that lit me up as well, because I love creating things, and that was just another avenue for me to create, not just for me but for other people that had experienced what I had gone through. And I think that was just, that was an avenue, that's what brought me, like, pregnancy loss, which, how unfortunate it was, it did bring those books together. So yeah.
Yeah, so in your healing, you were able to, it kind of opened up your creativity, your opportunity to create something for someone else.
Yeah.
And when we can start to go through our own emotions, our own feelings, we can start to see clearer on the outside of us. We can start to see what possibilities are available to us that we maybe didn't see before. And I love that you've been able to create so much from your story, from your pain, because the compilation books that you have put together have been amazing. I've known some women who have contributed their story and have said how incredible the experience was for them. And I know that by you supplying this resource, this tool, it's going to be helping other women to feel less alone, to know, okay, they can see themselves in that woman's story and know that they're not alone. And I think that's one of the biggest things with pregnancy loss is that you feel so alone when you're going through it. Even more so when you go and try and search for support and there's nothing available to you.
Yeah.
So do you want to share where people might be able to find what you have created?
Yeah. So I have everything on my website, www.melissadesveaux.com/books. So I've got all the journals, all the books that I've published. I'm also coming out with some cards that are kind of like sympathy cards, but thinking of you cards, sort of remembrance cards, that type of thing as well. So everything, is on my website that you can check out and download or purchase. Yeah.
It's amazing what we were talking before about the cards that you want to create. And I think it's a beautiful thing because it's something that is missing. Like you can find a card for everything else.
Yeah.
But, pregnancy loss is definitely not one that you're going to pick up at, the supermarket or the newsagent. So, to really have that tailored, resource tailored card to say, for someone to buy, to say, I get you. Like, I understand you. I remember your baby with you. Like, it's just something extra special, I think.
Yeah. And that's the reason why, like, it only actually came to me a few days ago, or maybe a week or so ago. But I just think that, some people say, their birthday. Some people remember the birthday, but like, especially when it's like a stillbirth, there's always like a date when that baby has been born. And somebody can just pick up that card and say, I'm remembering you today and I'm thinking of you today. And each card will have like a little poem that actually relates to that thinking of you day, because it's a special day that, anybody can remember. And even, like if it's a miscarriage or, whether it's an early miscarriage or a late miscarriage, there, all the poems are like very supportive and I think helpful, and even like for the family, you know, like say it's the mother or father of the parent that has had the stillborn baby, or the miscarriage, sorry. Sometimes it's really hard for them to express how they're feeling as well. So that was like another reason why I wanted to put those cards together, because, you know, it's just something that they can, you know, give to that person, and then that person receives it and says, you know, thank you. Like, I'm glad that you've acknowledged that, you know, my baby passed away, you know, and it's my baby's birthday or something like that. So I just think, you know, thinking of you, remembering your baby today is something special. So
I think it is something extra special because it's such a hard topic for some people to bring up. And like you said, they don't really, they might want to remember the baby, but don't know what to say. And then more often than not, what happens is it goes unsaid or unnoticed or unrecognized. And that sometimes is worse because you want other people to be able to honor your baby as well.
that's it. Yeah.
So I think having these cards available will be huge, because then others can just, they don't have to think of the words. You've already got words in there that's going to mean something.
Yeah.
And it's just that gesture then to go, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering your baby with you today and always. You know, I think that's a beautiful addition to, it's definitely something that's missing in the current market, and a beautiful addition to what you've already created. So I'd love to see that, you know, blossom and turn into something really big for you, because it is something that I believe a lot of people can benefit from.
Yeah, I hope so.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
I guess, yeah, for you know, to those families who have experienced pregnancy or infant loss, you know, just reach out to somebody, you know, if you're struggling. Write, meditate, you know, go for walks, you know, share your story with other people, you know, especially your partner, if you have one. You know, I believe that speaking about, you know, loss and what you're going through is really important. You know, reading other stories is important, because then you can get an understanding that, you know, you're not alone and you're not going through that journey of loss alone. There is always somebody there to support you. You just need to be open to receiving that support. So, yeah.
That's beautiful and so true. I back what you've just said 100%. Couple questions. First, what's one thing you wish you knew before? What's one thing you wish you knew after experiencing pregnancy loss?
So many things. I wish I knew how to deal with the grief I was going through. I wish I knew how to reach out to somebody. You know, I didn't even think about going to see a counselor or anybody like that, and I was never, you know, steered in that direction. I wish I knew where I could find resources, yeah, who to talk to, who to call. Yeah, just so many different things, like even just understanding what a D&C was and how that happened, like how it works, or what I could do with my baby. Like I didn't know back then, because I never had what they have now, having photographs taken with your baby. Like I took a few photos of my baby, but like there was nothing back then, like they didn't have that type of thing. And to be able to hold your baby, I wish, like I honestly wish I could hold, like I could have held my baby longer than I did. And I remember like the nurses saying, like we kind of have to take the baby now, because it's going to perish if we leave it any longer. They didn't have those cold cots like they do now. It was just like heartbreaking, like so many different things I could have done if I knew it was possible. But obviously it wasn't possible back then. So there was, so many things,
It just gave me goosebumps when you said that then, like what you wish you could have done. Even to have, some more time with her, to have some photos taken, or, there's a lot that you're not told from the medical system in terms of what is available to you at the time. And I'm sure at the time when you were going through your losses, there was more available to you than what you knew. And, even for me, that no one, like I didn't get an ultrasound photo. I'm like, I would have at least liked to know that my baby was there. Even though that its heart had stopped, it was there. So, there's a lot that you're not told that you could do. And it's then up to you to ask, but you don't even know. So how do you know what to ask for?
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, there's a lot that even I look back over and I'm like, I wish I had have taken more time to think about what I needed. So yeah, it's definitely, advocating for yourself, asking the questions, what can I do? What's available to me? What can I take? What can I do for myself, my grief, my baby?
Yeah,
And
even just like dressing the baby. Like I remember, like, which is really horrible to think about, but I didn't have any clothes for her. Like I didn't even think about getting clothes for my baby to put in, her coffin. Like it was just little things like that were, just horrible, like to think about. I mean, we bought we got like a blanket made with her name on it, but that was really the only thing I could think of. And like a little teddy bear, like I didn't think about like a beanie or socks or like a nappy or anything like that, because it was just something that we were never told to do. We were just very lucky that we had a friend that brought us these things. When she came to the funeral, she said, do you want to use these? Because I'm like, yes, please. Like I didn't have anything. So they're just little things, but you just don't think about it at that time. So
yeah, and you don't ever expect to be put in that position, so it's not like you're ever going to naturally think down that path. But hopefully in having these conversations, we can bring this awareness, and help someone else that might be navigating this time, and help them think of the different ways that what they can do in that moment to help themselves or honor their baby, or ask the questions, advocating for yourself.
yeah, absolutely.
You've shared your website with us already. is there any other way that people can find you to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram. They're probably the most ways to contact me. You can email me if you like as well. I'm at contact@melissadesveaux.com. My Facebook is what is it? Melissa Desveaux /books. And my Instagram is just Melissa _Desveaux _author.
Yeah. And I'll make sure we put all of those in the show notes so people can find you in one click, because even though we're pronouncing your surname as Desveaux, it's not spelt that way.
Yeah.
So definitely check the show notes for the way to spell Melissa's last name, and making sure that you are going to the right place to do or get or see and connect however you want to speak to Melissa.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for being a part of the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Shana.
It's my pleasure. Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing _PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.